Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. Dominic Holland, how are you?
That's very flattering, Alex, but it's not been often said of me. But thank you very much indeed. Nice to be with you.
Well, you're very funny, and this is what I like about you. There's a lot of comedians these days I don't find funny. You're funny. Congratulations.
Well, bless you. That's, I wish you would get a job booking Life at the Apollo.
It's a funny world comedy, isn't it? You're either in or you're out. If you're in, you can make millions, and if not, you're touring clubs. That's the way it is.
You know what? The best thing about being a comedian is it's a very tangible job, and if you're rocking a room, doesn't matter if you're at the Apollo or you're in an art centre in Cleethorpes, it's still a gig. And when I go on stage, I've got a very real job to do, and I'm good at it, and I can do it, and I've done it for 25 years and I'm still doing it. I really enjoy it. So no complaints my end.
When did you get sort of confident at knowing that you could do that? Because it's that thing of, okay, I know I'm funny, but they've got to like me first.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Just because you're funny doesn't mean you're going to be a good stand-up, because you've got to get over that hurdle of being scrutinised and getting on stage. And I'm a funny man, can think of funny things, but I'm not a show-off. Like, for example, you might think of someone like Jonathan Ross, for example, who just looks like he lives to be on TV, loves the attention. I'm not that man. So for me, it's always a bit of an ordeal for me to get on stage. A lot of comics do struggle to get on stage. It's a scary gig. But once I can overcome that, then I can get on with it. And I suppose experience gives you that confidence. You know that material works. You've done it before. I have some reputation now. People come along knowing what they're going to get, and so it kind of builds and compounds your previous experiences. But no, it's not for the faint-hearted being a stand-up anyway. But a great gig if you can do it.
And it's interesting how as your life changes and you grow older, things come into your life like children, and of course they come and go. Interesting, Skipton Building Society have done this new thing about these Boomerang Kids, and you've got a kid that just happens to have made you the second most famous man in the house. That must be interesting.
Yeah, well, you know what? They're called Boomerang Kids because they leave home and they return home. I don't know whether you remember back to your childhood, but when I was a kid, a boomerang that I had never ever returned home. You used to throw them, and then you have to go and get it. Well, my son Tom is a boomerang child because he hasn't returned home because of clearly he has this illustrious life. So he bought a flat and doesn't need to come home. But my other children will not have that benefit and advantage. And so it's a problem for families because you expect them to leave. That's the rites of passage, and when they don't leave, that creates a pressure on your finances. Or you have to spend more money, you have to buy more chips and more beer and more steak and more pasta, and obviously you've got them at home, and it's just irksome, and you want them to leave, and you want to be independent. So it's a very real problem for people. I'm lucky that my eldest son doesn't have that issue. But I'm trying to encourage him to buy a house for his other brothers as well. I'm
sure, though, you miss them a bit, if you're going to be totally honest.
Oh, yeah. You'd hope so. I mean, if you're a parent and you don't miss your kids, then you've done something wrong, surely.
Dominic, I can't believe we're out of time already. It's lovely to talk to you. Let's talk again properly about your career, because you're one of the greatest wordsmiths, and I love particularly what you do on radio. You're so brilliant at it. Keep on keeping on, won't you?
Thank you very much indeed, sir. Bless you.